James, so you've done extensive travel, and most recently in Italy, in Europe. Can you talk to us about some of the most recent design trends you've noticed in travel?
It's interesting for me to travel globally to see what's happening globally and how it relates to us nationally. So I do that at the Milan Furniture Fair, that was in April, and then also in the Tile Fair, which is also linked with bathroomware, in September in Bologna, both of them being in Italy. So it's interesting to see how those trends relate to us, because we, consume and live in our housing environment much more than much of the world. We talk about it even at barbecues. So if I look at how those trends are working and how they relate to you with Weathertex, the first thing that I would talk about is texture. It's a really important part of design trends. It's really enhanced after COVID, where people were stuck inside in their homes with technology. So technology has lots of touching screens and lots of smooth surfaces. Texture the experience is tactile. It's much more exciting for us. It's not only a tactile experience to touch, but it's a visual tactile experience because of the play on natural light. And of course, you have such a range of cladding products that relates to so many ways that I can include that with my projects externally and internally, because it's not just about an external trend, they flow through to inside for Australia as well. Yes. Colour is also something that you guys can achieve easily because your products can be painted. So as far as key colour trends, we've definitely turned off the high chroma colours. So if you think of the colours of Lego, things are much more dusted off and greyed off. The deep indigo blue is very much a colour that's popular, and women and men love that colour. It's very calming, but it's ironic that we're sitting here now. Biophilia is a big trend of bringing greenery inside the house, but the colours of green calmer. So greenery in joinery, greenery in feature walls, and being able to paint cladding surfaces is fantastic, because for the cost of a tin of paint, I can change those feature walls in my home. I can change my, accessories and areas of my house to suit different trends as colours change over time.
We've seen that in the internal walls of the granny flat with the Weather Group 75 Woodsman profile, and how you've made that room pop by using that.
There was a moment, I've got to say, it was a moment when it was installed that it was already in its raw state, in that sort of brown timber tone of its raw material. Yeah. And that can also just have a seal over the top. And I was thinking I could play just a natural colour scheme here and leave it raw. Yeah. But once I added the first coat of the indigo blue, it just went to another level, and I really loved how it enhanced the texture of that product, that natural timber grain with colour. So I think it's a clever way for people to be able to install and use it.
With Weathertex, you've got the prime product with the Woodsman, where you can colour whatever you wish to, but we also have that raw timber product if you wish to utilise that as well without the paint.
Yeah, and I've used that before with stains. So stains are a nice way. Australians love natural timber, the look of natural timber. I think particularly externally, where people are worried about lots of resurfacing of materials, that product with the stains on top, especially like a really dark, like black Japan, it's a super sexy product where again you get the timber grain. So people who want to have that timber look externally but don't want to have to be restaining, pretty much you've got to be realistic. It's going to be every 12 to 18 months, especially if your walls are facing west. I think that's a really clever way to use it and still add all the benefits of the texture tone and texture of the timber look to your house.
Is sustainable credentials and real sustainable credentials is important in Australia. Are you seeing that around Europe?
It's happening globally. So especially in EU, they're really setting much stronger mandates than we are. I think Australians in general want to be doing sustainable things. We all want to feel like we're doing something good for the planet. But ultimately with clients and with jobs, it goes back to what's in the hip pocket as well. What's the cost of these materials? So cost-effective ways to have something that's sustainable is a win-win. And your products are cost-effective with dramatic ability to transform space.
A little tagline we do occasionally is a sustainable cladding option at no extra cost.
Yeah, great. Of course, the biggest sustainable benefits are the process of how you make it, what it's made from, and then what happens at the end of the project when you want to remove that cladding and where does it go. So for me, the ability to be able to make a beautiful hard-wearing product for Australian standards externally and internally, you use wood pulp and wax. There's no chemicals, there's no glues. I love that from a health point of view. I'm asthmatic. I love to know what's going inside my home as well. And then at the end of its life, it can be taken off the walls. I've used it here, and it can go through the wood chipper and go onto the garden bed. I think that's so fantastic. So the sustainability is so important. The processes that you use to make it, and then what it's made from, and its end of life story. I think it's a win-win. It's important for me because I've used it in my clients' projects, but I've used it here in my own home and in the granny flat extensively on the front facade, outside, and even here you can see where I had to have all those different little areas to fill in all the gaps. It was perfect, and it's elevated the look of them. Instead of just a smooth surface, I've got texture as well. So it's a win-win.
I love the Palm Springs inspiration you've done in the house. I love the way how you've used our product internally, externally, around the barbecue area, painting. It's come up fantastic.
Palm Springs is a style that I think, as far as a design trend, it's from the middle of last century, so that mid-century modern architecture. It works really well in Australia. For anyone of my generation knows the Brady Bunch, the ethos of that house, the big connection between like large sliding glass doors inside and out, texture, you'll remember they had cladding inside, vertical cladding. The texture is in stonework as well. So the benefits of being able to install that style makes it feels like you're on holidays all the time. Another really popular Australian style is also adapted from overseas, and that's the Hamptons from north of New York. It's that coastal look, but I think we don't take it as seriously and stringent as the traditional style is. It's much more of a coastal take. Coastal homes are very important. I think that trend globally makes, we yearn to feel like we're on holidays all the time. So creating a destination at your home. And I think one of the biggest growth areas now, apart from my personal love of Palm Springs, is the modern farmhouse. And I think that that's a nice style as well, where people, again, are reimagining a different way to live, perhaps with the benefits of rural life, a calmer, more in contact with nature lifestyle, but in a more suburban or city locale. And I think that those styles are really great. And look, your products are great for that, because cladding is so important for coastal, Hamptons, Palm Springs and modern farmhouse. So I think, you guys sort of tick all the boxes.
You've done an amazing job bringing the Palm Spring inspiration here. And every year we launch a Design Trends magazine, which is for 2025. So it's great to get inspirational ideas and how we can incorporate our cladding in different types of designs like you've done here in this Palm Springs.
Well, I think that a lot of the products is so versatile for me. So it does fit across a lot of the trends. I can add colour. I think it ticks the boxes for many styles. But one additional big move in the trend style is curves. Right. I think it's come about economically. We're watching our budgets where things are quite sort of straight and serious. Curves are softer to deal with. You can navigate through a space with curves in a nice soft way. There's a nice flow. So curves are naturally integrated more into Australian architecture. Coming through from Palm Springs and mid-century, definitely, but curves and arches internally and externally. So your products can be bent and can deal with curves. Some of your board materials can be routed at the back so that they could cope with a curve architecturally. And I think that that's wonderful, where I can, put out of my designer toolbox vertical line, but also bend that product into a curve, especially near a doorway, a window, or on a curve inside the house. Yes. It's a nice way to be able to soften the lines and also just create a calmer experience as you move from outside to in and then through your home.
We're seeing a lot of the curves in our Design Trends magazine and the photos, and to the point where we've now created an installation detail for it in our install manual.
Okay.
Which is really important.
I think it's important for anyone too of my age who loves too much chocolate and cheese. It's good that curves are back in, mate, in my product and in my lifestyle. I think it's exciting to always look what's happening overseas, but also within Australia. We have such a big country, and architecture in northern Queensland is quite different to Tasmania, Western Australia, Sydney and then Victoria. But there's now a big overlap of how people are living. We architects are excited, and designers, we also look what's happening interstate and think, can those ideas work for us? So I think we're at a very exciting time with architecture and design and the impacts of how we can all enjoy and put that into our homes. Yes. And for people on a tight budget, especially the DIY market, they can still enjoy all of the benefits of trends because they can still be included in their homes in clever, really cost-effective ways.
Thanks for your insight about designs. I love how you incorporate the word sexy with cladding.
I think it's sexy, mate. Bring back Justin Timberlake in cladding. You need to bring the Justin Timberlake range. I think it is because, you've got to have a house that's it's interesting and visual and nice to live in. And we don't live in houses, we live in homes. So why can't the visual experience at home be visually interesting, tactile and a little bit sexy? I think it's great.
Great catching up.
Thank you, mate. Thanks so much. Thank you.